One of the first challenges out of the mouth of a skeptic when confronted with the gospel is often demand proof that God exists in the first place. But when you get down to it, the challenge is exactly backwards on every level. First, there is the problem created for the atheist if God doesn't exist. If there's no creator, then we came from nothing. You see, that's a problem. The one thing that we know does not exist in the physical universe of the atheist is nothing. René Descartes, often called the father of modern philosophy, disproved the existence of nothing in his famous cogito ergo sum in Latin, or I think therefore I am. What Descartes was pondering when the bombshell hit him was what he called the ultimate level of skepticism. He had even begun to doubt his own existence. But I have convinced myself that there is absolutely nothing in the world, no sky, no earth, no minds, no bodies. Does it allow it to follow that I too do not exist? No. If I convinced myself of something or thought anything at all, then I certainly existed. But there is a deceiver of supreme power and cunning who is deliberately and constantly deceiving me. In that case, I too undoubtedly exist. If he is deceiving me, and let him deceive me as much as he can, he will never bring it about that I am nothing, so long as I think that I am something. So after considering everything very thoughtfully, I must finally conclude that the proposition I exist, is necessarily true whenever it is put forward by me or conceived in my mind. Descartes disproved the existence of nothing philosophically, whereas both science and common sense disprove the existence of nothing in the material world logically. Nothing does not and cannot exist. To simplify it even more, nothing is the absence of something. It cannot exist independently. We live in a material universe. Even the vacuum of deepest space is something. It's vacuum. A vacuum can be observed, it can be experimented with, and it can be rationally analyzed. See, what is known about vacuum scientifically is that it is essentially empty of matter such that it is gaseous pressure, and it's much less than atmospheric pressure. But the notion of a perfect vacuum with a gaseous pressure of zero is only theoretical. It has never been observed or empirically proved to exist. But the entire argument from the point of atheism is that nothing, which cannot exist in a material universe, is responsible for the existence of the material universe. The Big Bang Theory says that the universe is in a state of expansion. If it's going forward, then reversing the process brings back up to that point in time when the universe exploded into existence. Before that, the Big Bang Theory argues there was nothing, no vacuum, no empty space, just nothing. A theoretical impossibility. That is the skeptic's burden. On the other hand, the existence of God is at the minimum, at least theoretically possible. And the existence of God accounts for what was there before the Big Bang. The skeptic's burden is to the Big Bang. That is, the Big Bang was caused by nothing, from which the material universe sprang into existence, from nothing and because of nothing. And that's a pretty tall order, given that the basic premises upon which the entire argument rests demands assuming the most logical explanation, the existence of nothing, a premise that violates every known law of science. A skeptic cannot prove God does not exist, because that demands proving a negative. God could exist, therefore it cannot be proved he does not. Conversely, nothing cannot exist, a philosophical, scientific, and logical principle long science established to be true. See, the heaviest burden of proof isn't on the Christian. He has the only logical argument that is a leg to stand on, and that's certainly better than nothing. Romans 1:19-20. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath shewn it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Again, Romans 1:19-20. See, the more science learns about our universe, the more science are reluctantly forced to acknowledge the existence of intelligent design. That the universe demands a designer, as obvious as a wristwatch requiring a maker, or a dictionary requiring an editor. When there's the existence of human conscience to both consider and explain, it exists as an inner voice that allows the person to follow his best judgment and highest instincts. It is unique to humanity, and it is that conscience that demands to know about God. Even the atheist wouldn't have decided that he was an atheist if he didn't first contemplate the existence of God. Psalms 14:1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They're corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Psalms 14:1. The skeptic's blanket statement that God does not exist stands as sufficient testimony to the truth of these psalmist's words. And so do all the skeptic's arguments when broken down into their component parts. To begin with, none of them are in support of their own position, to wit, nothing is responsible for creation. They can neither defend nor explain the existence of nothing. Instead, the skeptic's argument must come in the form of an attack on something, as to say, a creator God. But even then, they cannot launch a direct attack on the existence of a creator God, since they have nothing to use to prove their position. So instead, the attack is centered on what you believe about God versus what they believe about God. Because, make no mistake, they also believe in God in some sense, or logically. There would be nothing upon which to base the discussion. They just don't want to believe and are seeking justification for that disbelief. You see, the atheist needs to sucker you into the positive position of proving God exists, because he cannot prove the negative proposition. If you've ever been in a debate about God in which you didn't find yourself trying to prove that God exists, the skeptic's argument doesn't offer alternative answers. It only raises questions in the hope you can't answer them either. And why is that? It is the atheist whose proposition demands positive evidence, since his proposition demands a belief in the existence of nothing, not an absence of knowledge, but a positive declaration of certainty in the existence of nothing. There are libraries full of books attempting to prove the existence of God or to argue against the existence of God. There aren't very many books that attempt to prove the existence of nothing. The very concept of nothing is something that, and therefore is instantly disqualified from existence. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Does God exist? Well, if he didn't, then there would be nothing to debate, and nobody debates about nothing. Isn't that something?